Hi everybody, I'm Rebecca Keppel. I want to welcome you to this month's Stash Bash. Stash Bash is a YouTube hop where a bunch of us paper crafters who have a lot of supplies come up with a supply each month that we want to bash our stash of, and we're trying to give some inspiration on how you can use up some of that supply as well. So this month's supply is washi tape. I'm sure I have a ton of it. I bet a bunch of you do as well. And so I'm going to make a card that's going to use a unique technique for using up a ton of washi tape. I have an older washi tape video that talks about die cutting washi tape, and I'm going to link to that here. But this video is about making pleated washi tape trim. So be sure to hop on along to Laura Whitaker's YouTube channel. I'm going to link to that here as well. And I'm going to have links down below, not to just all my supplies, but also to all the participants in this month's hop. So let's get started. Before we do get started, I wanted to mention that I have a giveaway today, so be sure to watch to the end of the video. Okay, here I have a ring filled with a rainbow of Queen & Co. washi tape, and I'm going to pull off a few colors that I want to work with today. You can use any washi tape that you happen to have for this technique. I really like the Queen & Co. washi tape because it's a little bit thicker than your average washi, and it has this really neat shiny component to the top layer that's a little less translucent than some washis, and I really like the way it looks when you turn it into trim like we're going to do here. So the first thing you're going to do is just unroll some of your first color and wrap the edge around a piece of cardstock. And I am using white cardstock today that is cut to a little bit smaller than a traditional A2 card size. So it's about 4 by 5 1/4. And all I'm doing is pinching and folding into pleats the washi tape, and because it's adhesive, because it's tape, it's sticking and just making these folds really easy to do. And when I get to the end of the row, I just fold it underneath. So when I start my second roll, I just have to be careful to put it close enough to the first color that there are no gaps in between, because I think that that doesn't look quite as nice. And so you'll see there that I had a little bit of a gap, and so the great thing about washi is that it's so forgiving, and you can peel it back up and undo it and just redo it so that it's correct. So I'm just, like I said, just going along and making my little folds and pinching, and that is creating these little tiny pleats that then makes it look like kind of like a trim, or almost like fringe, but it's more like a pleated trim. So I'm going along and I'm going to do my third color here, which is a pink. And I really love the bright, vibrant colors that the Queen & Co. washi tape have too. So that's a really nice element to work with. And again, I'm just going to just tear off the edge there and then fold it underneath. Now I have these older stamps from Hero Arts that are some fruit stamps. I just think the bright summery colors work really well with these fruit stamps. So I've already I didn't die cut them, I fussy cut out that pair. I stamped it, colored it, and fussy cut out that pair. And now I'm going to put the sentiment onto our card panel here. So I'm stamping it with My Favorite Things hybrid black ink, and the sentiment is Simply the Best. I think that's super cute for a card. And I'm going to stamp it twice. That's why I'm using my MISTI to make sure that I get a great impression, and I can double stamp it and get a really crisp black sentiment that way. I'm going to stamp another piece of fruit from the same stamp set. This is the watermelon, and I'm going to use the same hybrid ink because the My Favorite Things hybrid ink is great for Copic coloring, which is what I'm going to do here. I don't have a lot of real estate here for that rind, but I am going to use 2 colors just to get sort of that darker edge on the outside shell and then a slightly lighter green on the inside. I don't even know if you can really see that, but it made me feel better about coloring it. Now I've grabbed 2 different colors. One is a pink and one is more of a traditional red. And they don't really go together, honestly, but I feel like when you blend them out, they create this third color that to me looked more like watermelon. So now, again, this is not, I'm not going for, you know, exact replica of what a watermelon looks like. I know that a traditional watermelon is lighter on the rind, but I just really liked the way that this looked, and it's kind of a graphic looking watermelon anyway, so I think you can just have fun with it, and that's what I'm doing. So now I've come back in with the pink, and I'm just going to blend out that red into the pink and kind of create that, I think, watermelon looking color. So that's another tip I have for you. If you don't have tons and tons of Copic markers, you can create colors that way. I'm going to just use a sharp pair of scissors and cut this out. I think that this stamp set came out before they even started making coordinating dies for stamp sets. That just shows you how old it is. So I am going to fussy cut, and good thing for me, it's a pretty simple shape, so I can handle it. The little pear stem was a little trickier, and I'm not a great patient fussy cutter, but there it is. So now I have my two fruits, and I'm going to use a memento marker. This is great because you can kind of just use the brush tip to edge around your stamped image if you fussy cut it, and that will give you a nice clean black edge there. I'm going to use some Gina K black cardstock that I've die cut into a 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inch rectangle. I'm going to layer our pleated washi tape panel over that, and then I'm just trying to figure out exactly how I want to lay those fruits down. I want one flat and one popped up, and I just couldn't get the angle there. Now I'm going to use the C1. This is another Copic marker that I'm just going to put a tiny bit of shading on the bottom just so they don't look like they're floating out in space there. It just gives them a little bit of shading to what they would be sitting on top of. Okay, so again, I am struggling with placement, but I think I've determined that the pear is going to be flat and the watermelon is going to pop up. So the pear is going to be almost in the middle, just slightly off to the left, and then I'm going to use some foam tape to pop up that watermelon slice and lean it against the pear there. And that is pretty much the card, but what I'm going to do now is take some Nuvo Tonic Studio Jewel Drops in green for the pear, and I'm going to cover that up. And when that dries, it's going to be slightly dimensional. It's going to be glossy, and it's going to have a hint of that green. But since we colored the pear green as well, it's just going to add to that whole effect. And I really like the way that turns out. Now I'm going to use the rose water on the watermelon. So again, it's fine that the color of the jewel drops doesn't perfectly match the watermelon because the color of the jewel drops is very translucent. So once it dries, it's just going to look perfect on top of that watermelon. And it'll just give that bit of shine, a little bit of texture because of the way that I'm applying it as well. So it won't be a perfectly, glossy bubble. It'll have a little bit of texture to it, just like watermelon does. Okay, and then the last thing I'm going to do is adhere some pretty pink posh crystal droplets. I love these because they're clear. They can go on pretty much any card that you're creating. They have a really nice rounded effect to them. They're dimensional. They add some extra shine. And so I'm going to use the Ranger Multi-Media Matte to apply these. A little drop down on the card goes a long way, but if it does ooze out the side, it's a matte finish, so you won't even see it, which is really, really nice. So I'm going to finish putting a few more of these, and you'll see in the photo I actually put down another one on the right hand side. I do that a lot. I'm working on them, and up close it looks fine, but then when I go to take a photograph I'm like, oh, this is not even. So that's why you'll see an extra one in the photograph. But that pretty much completes my pleated washi trim card. And you can see at the end of this video, I also did another card with a similar technique. This is really easy to do and really fast and fun. So now onto my giveaway. I have a ton of washi tape that is just sitting around. It's not being used and loved, and so I would really like to give it to somebody else. So all you have to do to enter this giveaway is subscribe to my YouTube channel and leave me a comment down below. And if you already subscribe, you can let me know that you already do. Leave me a comment about the card. Whatever you want to say down below is fine as well. Okay, so now you're going to hop on over to Laura Whitaker's YouTube channel and check out her amazing project and then continue along in the hop. Don't forget also to enter my giveaway by subscribing and commenting. And if you're curious about any of the supplies I use, those will all be linked down below. So I want to thank you so much for stopping by and taking your time with me today, and have a great day.